Ona ikahala me kalekua ahalalekua no ia no kanoe kau no ia no ine hoi o ka hiki mai hiki mai no oi hiku no me ke aloha aloha aloha
Welcome to Conversations with Love. Today is April 11th, 2023, and our guest today is Maureen Walton O'Brien, author of The Good Darkness, Natural Womb Technologies, A Feminine Path to Superconsciousness. Maureen is going to open our sacred space today. Thank you, Maureen. Welcome to Conversations with Love.
Shall I begin?
Yes, please.
All right. Well, thank you, Lee, for inviting me. It's an honor, and I am looking forward to taking you on a journey, a guided visualization. And I'm going to begin by thanking the Kiro grandmothers of the Andes for inspiring this womb to heart technology. And I'm going to thank the Haudenosaunee Peacekeeper Virgin Birth Mothers for inspiring this system. So I want to begin by asking you to go within, take a deep breath, and imagine around your body is the torus. Now there's an image of it there. Surrounding your body, now there are two tori. The one that we are usually told about is the vertical one, where the channel, the central channel, runs before your spine, north and south, from your head down to your feet. And on this channel of energy is your heart and your womb in the lower. So it's composed, that central channel, of two vortexes of energy that converge in the middle. Now, the descending cone in the upper half of the body that surrounds the heart is the feminine descending energies that pull the heart energies down to nurture the womb. So that cone of energy comes right down to the womb. And you can see it, feel it pulling the heart energies down. And that is also surrounding and protecting the heart, which is in the Kiro tradition, the masculine spirit and love. And it's protecting that. The feminine is protecting the masculine. Now bring your attention to the lower cone of energy in the vertical system. And imagine that lower cone is the ascending masculine cone of energy, lifting up both the earth energies and the womb energies. So now the masculine cone of energy comes right up, and its apex touches the bottom of your heart. So it is pulling the womb energies up to nurture the heart. And the womb energies, of course, containing the wisdom principle and the cosmic soul. And we're going to go more into that now. So what I'd like you to do is sort of shift your awareness now to the horizontal cone, the horizontal torus that's pictured in this illustration. Now you can see that there's also two horizontal cones of energy converging in the middle. And so they overlap the vertical, forming an X point. This is like your grand central creation station. This is you could call it a 0 point, or I'd like to call it beyond time zone. Very, very powerful, because it's now a quadrant of energies converging. So again, in the horizontal, there's the two cones coming from each side of you and converging in the middle. And of course, the energies flow over your head and under your feet. But where, what energies are you pulling in? So now I want to take you on this little guided visualization out into outer space so that we can see what these energies are that we are pulling in with our horizontal. So if you would like to keep yourself grounded with your inhale and with your exhale, you can begin to lift off. Imagine you're in your imagination floating up above yourself, out past the moon, out past the planets, and right to the edge of the solar system. Now, we talked about our own personal Taurus being a powerful magnetic field. And this is the feminine principle of magnetism. So here we are at the very perimeter of the enormous, gigantic toroidal field of the sun. So the sun's Taurus is holding all the planets in place. So as we look down at the beautiful sun, and we can see the central channel of the sun's Taurus there pulling in. And what is it pulling in? So now we are going to, in our imagination, look behind us, and we are looking into the velvety, soft darkness of outer space. This is the source of life. This is where all the vibrations and the potential of everything, but not yet in form. This is the cosmic mother, the cosmic womb. This is the designs of the universe here. They don't know if it's like a plasma or a vapor. Certainly it is not the void, and it is not empty, as we have been told. It's not a vacuum, but it is full of life. This is the Andeans call the Wirakucha. In the West, it's called the Sophia energy. This is wisdom itself before form, potential of all. The soul, the cosmic soul, very different than the human soul. No karma here. Well, you can feel this energy. You can feel the harmonics of it, the vibrations of it, but it is invisible to the eye. Now, if you would like to turn your awareness back towards the sun, you will see that the sun's central channel of its Taurus is pulling in these cosmic energies, pulling Sophia into its very core. You can imagine your own inhale. You can imagine being the sun pulling Sophia in if you wish. Then the sun, with its mighty energies, like spits out all this power in the solar winds towards the earth. Now you can imagine the Earth's Taurus, also a very mighty, powerful magnetic field. It is grasping those energies flowing from the sun, full of the cosmic, the mother principle, the wisdom principle, full of those energies, pulling them straight into her central core. And as they travel through the center of the earth, they are also, of course, combined with the sun's energies as well. And then they're picking up all the metals and the minerals and the gold and silver of the inner earth, all those qualities and the qualities of the inner water systems of the earth. And then they flow out the opposite pole and begin to travel with great momentum along the surface of the earth because of the magnetic forces holding and hugging those energies close to the horizon. So as they're flowing by, you can, in your imagination, bring yourself back down into your body here on the planet with your inhale. And you can bring your awareness to your horizontal channels again. And you can, with your exhale open and with your inhale, begin to breathe in these beautiful energies coming right towards you with great momentum. I mean, imagine from both the sun and the earth's torus, bringing them right to you. In fact, I think if we practice this a lot, we'd have to not let too much in. It may be too overwhelming. So we have to be sensitive to this. So with your inhale, imagine pulling in these beautiful energies. And they are flowing right into your womb. And your womb is holding them. You could be doing this for a week and gathering and just stating each day these beautiful energies into your womb. You can imagine now that they are absolutely transforming the nature of the blood within your womb. Absolutely changing it, transforming it into a high divine Sophia energy. No karma here, no healing required. You have imported direct source through the Torai systems at quite a fast rate. It's coming. And so now you can imagine your blood is this high divine energy. Now we don't have time to go much further today, but I'm going to give an overview of the next step of this 3-part meditation, where now you're going to engage your ascending masculine cone of energy on your vertical system. And with your exhale, you're going to begin to lift the energies of the womb upward towards the heart. Now, because this is a weighty, watery, willful kind of energy, the cosmos is, and the wisdom principle is not like fire and light. It is deep and dark and pure and full of wisdom. So it's going to, with your exhales, bit by bit, you're going to be pulling it up. It's almost going to be looping back and forth, or like a wave welling up slowly towards your heart. And it may take a few practices to bring it close to your heart. Now, you can imagine the relief your heart is going to feel when this pure energy that has no karma begins to enter the heart space. It's going to begin to flush out all the karma and the ancestral and fill it with this wisdom principle. And as that begins to happen bit by bit, maybe it might take a few months, as the heart becomes more clear, then the womb wisdom principle is going to be able to marry with the pure heart. You could say the high heart of pure spirit and love. And when those two marry, then you can see the woman stepping in to her full potential. I would like to call it ensoulment or endarkenment or enlightenment, perhaps all three. Now, the last comment I want to make is that once the woman has reached a fully conscious state, I believe that only then is she has the inner strength now available to her of the cosmic mother to, with the heart and the cosmic mother joined, be able to redirect again back down towards the womb and divide the egg, and at the same time commune with a high soul who wants to enter already enlightened. And this would be the process of parthenogenesis. And I don't believe that was so uncommon back in the egalitarian cultures that we once lived in. So that is an introduction to the system. And I will just let you sit and breathe into that and process some of that for a while. And again, thank you to the Kiro who kept this skeleton version of this alive from pre-contact, and to the Haudenosaunee Peacekeeper women. So thank you for listening. All right, if you've had time to process, let's bring ourselves back to our worlds and sharing conversation. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Maureen. That was really, really beautiful.
Were you able to follow through?
I
It's
just
pretty
feel
complex.
like it just felt so natural.
Good.
One of the things that came to me while in that silent moment was just staying in an observing stance. And I don't know if you've read Paramahansa's Yogananda book, The Autobiography of a Yogi.
Yes.
Well, today I understand for the first time what he meant by cosmic mother. So thank you for that introduction to an energy I hadn't known until today.
Awesome.
It was really beautiful. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're joining us just now, it is April the 11th. This is Conversations with Love. Our guest today is Maureen Walton O'Brien, author of The Good Darkness, Natural Womb Technologies, A Feminine Path to Super Consciousness, and I would say a recovery of a powerful part of human life. Thank you so much, Maureen, for that beautiful meditation.
You're welcome.
Our musical director, I know, is here now. Ayara, do you feel like coming on and giving us a bit of music before we go into the question and inquiry part of our show today? Oh, she's in the cosmos. Okay. So I'm going to pull up the PowerPoint that we created, and we'll just have you walk us through the the art, Maureen
Okay.
is a visual artist. Okay, so Joy is saying that she doesn't have enough internet to be able,
Oh,
stable internet to be able to actually sing and be heard. And that's all right. So I'll just hit share screen. Maureen is also a visual artist. Um, we we were observing, as long as we had our eyes open during the meditation, this art piece. So why don't you start with describing this and what this means?
all the diagrams in my book here, black and white. So I switched it to white pencil on black paper because I wanted to emphasize the good darkness that, and of course the cosmic mother is in that dark outer space because, unfortunately the dark has been demonized a lot, seen as bad. We always refer to light as good and dark as bad. So, of course, what's interesting is like a quadrant because I acknowledge there's a good and bad dark, and there's also good and bad light, right? We don't want to get fried and overexposed. So this was just kind of a way to emphasize that, and then just depicting that horizontal torus, which is not very common. Of course, it's always there. That it's not described very often, or I don't see it in too many meditations. We're always focused on the vertical. And so that's why this was very exciting for me to find the horizontal torus that would align with the Earth's torus.
So let's just talk about, like, we've got the Earth, the actual physical planetary energy, right? And then there's all the spheres that are around it. Is that what the energy spheres, like the atmosphere, the stratosphere, the ionosphere, are those the spheres of energy that would be the Earth's torus? Your
Yes, I believe so. And they would go, below the Earth as well. And I think you're right. All of those um, are different names for different levels of the Earth's torus. Now, I'm not a scientist. I'm still learning all those details, but generally speaking, it's that huge energy field. Yeah.
Right. So we basically have the geosphere, then there's the biosphere where all the life lives, including us, including humans, and then there's the atmosphere, and then the stratosphere and the ionosphere. So it just keeps going on until its energy then meets another's energy.
Well,
Planet
that's a good
Venus,
point.
planet Mercury, the moon.
Right. Right. Well, I have another drawing there I've done that I think you've got that shows the Earth's torus and the Sun's torus and the relationship between the two.
I know you sent it to me in color, but this is the black and white version that's in your book, is it?
Yes, and it's more clear, I think. So I just looked at different, NASA sites and outer space sites and did my own version of this. So that would be the sun and the earth. Now, I know the earth is a lot smaller than that in reality, but for the sake of the system.
This is really interesting. Okay, Sunday evening, my husband and I often watch a program called 60 Minutes. We've been watching it for 40 years. And and this Sunday night, Maureen, they had a show about the Webb telescope and how this telescope has been creating digital images of outer space, and then artists have been colorizing it based on the codes and numbers that they see.
Really?
And the main scientist said, we imagined that space was not an empty void but filled with life. And he said the stars are not just stars, they're all galaxies, and it's filled with life.
Exactly. Great. Yeah, that's what my little details at the top there are meant to show, just the spirals, the swirls, the stars, the galaxies. Yeah. But that's interesting that we're talking about, yeah, why is it always taught to us, like you said in school, is the vacuum, the 0 point, the void. It's not empty.
Wow.
Yeah.
And also that, that there is life everywhere.
And you know what? I heard it explained well. I think that, you know, the life is born from the dark and reveals itself in the light. And I think that's how it becomes forgotten, is just like color is born in the dark, but it reveals itself in a rainbow.
Oh,
That's from Steiner.
that's so beautiful. That's so
Yeah.
beautiful. Tell us about this art. Now you live in in an interesting location in Canada on the Great Lakes, which is the biggest body of fresh water on the planet, as far as I know. And
I guess
Lake,
all of them together would be all the 5 lakes.
yep, and it's all in one
Yeah,
spot, like the heart of North America,
right.
Niagara Falls and all that beauty.
Yeah.
And so tell us about this place you live and the peacekeepers and what this image next to the earth and the relationship between the earth and the sun's energies that you've portrayed on the right side.
Yeah, I'd love to. Well, I think that living here really put me on my journey, because I bought this little piece of land um, right beside Tyendinaga territory, which is the Mohawk territory. And the Mohawks are one of the 6 nations in the 6 Nations Confederacy, that is all around the Great Lakes and was right down to New York State, to the coast, a huge area of the Eastern Woodlands, they call it. And so it was about 900, I believe, that this 900 years ago, that this confederacy was formed. And it's quite a beautiful, like, good governance. It's quite beautiful, and it's coming from a egalitarian culture. And so this drawing I did, so what happened, sorry, I'll back up, is that as a mural artist, I began, when I moved back to the country here, I found a venue in the schools and the colleges to paint. And the Mohawk School hired me. And the first thing they asked me to paint was the Sky Woman story. And I knew nothing about this. And Sky Woman, of course, is Sophia. The Wirakucha is the cosmic void, but I didn't know. And they told me the story. And as you're painting, you're processing a lot. And these are large scale. I did this on a ceiling. I've done it in a few schools. So then they asked me to paint the peacemaker story. And so I was very fortunate. I was listened orally to the whole story, but there are very many versions. All 6 nations have a different version. And depending, as you know, how complex it can be, whether you're longhouse or whether you're an elected chief in the government, like there's so many versions. So I asked them, what is this virgin birth all about? And they didn't want to tell me or they didn't know. One of them said, oh, it's just a Christian overlay, don't pay attention. So there's, there was so much. And then I asked, what is this stone boat about? That's later on in the story. And then, there's a whole other level that came to me about what the stone boat is. That involves the men. So this little illustration to the left is, I'm showing here it's sort of like in the Christian story, there's Anne self-conceives Mary and Mary self-conceives Jesus. And then there's a teacher. Well, this is similar in that there is the enlightened woman who self-conceives a daughter right here in the North Shore of Lake Ontario 900 years ago, within about a 30-mile radius. And she grows up to self-conceive a boy child called Daganawida. And as he's growing up, another woman comes into the picture who some say is enlightened and is from a lineage going back to Sky Woman. And she's the one kneeling, and her name is Jagansase, and she was born near Niagara Falls. Very powerful place. And so she would have perhaps traveled up here, and the four of them worked together. And then the fifth peacemaker is Hiawatha, who was the orator. So that's kind of in a nutshell what I had to paint in this school.
Had I known you were going to bring in the shores of Gichigumi, I would have practiced my poetry. Thank you, Maureen.
I don't know. I hope you teach me that one.
Okay, so let me go back up.
There she is again.
And we'll just, because this is where we began, and that was the illustration that you helped lead us into to reconnect all the energies. And actually, there's this other image. This one.
There you go. Thanks. That one's important too. Yeah.
This one is what I began to feel during the meditation.
Good. I'm glad.
This balancing of energy.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Both the horizontal and the vertical work together like partners, like masculine and feminine.
Okay. And it was just today's meditation that you led us in really just brought to my awareness an energy that I had never actually conceived of, for lack of a better word.
That's the best word.
So tell us about you've told us about you live in this location, and so you created this yurt space for people to gather and experience this good darkness practice.
Yes, so normally I offer the meditation that I just offered you in my little yurt, and we sit in total darkness so that you can meditate with your eyes open, so that you're gazing into that cosmic mother darkness,
Yes.
And it's really quite powerful, because just with a soft gaze with your eyes open, you really, it's like your inner world and outer world are one, and it's much more expansive, and it feels easier to step into, your meditative zone. So the yurt also being soft felt, being round, it's like being in a little womb, and it has no hardware. It's all put together, friction and tension. And it's a traditional, dwelling so that the men and women worked together. The women did all the felting from the yak and all the canvas work on the outside, and the traditional painting of sacred geometry. And the men did all the woodworking.
Wow. So on your website, you have several videos where you show the building of this beautiful structure. Yes?
A few pictures. Yes, it's delivered in a lot of pieces, and you have to figure out how to put it all together. It's quite a complex project, but it's feels like the perfect space to do this work. And I just have 2 acres, but it's an original little forest of hickory and oak, and there's a little seasonal waterfall. So again, you've got the descending waters, and there's a little cliff, limestone cliff. So it all feels like it's supporting this energy, because all around me, it's even on the reserve, the Mohawk Reserve, it's all been built up. And I mean, they have their longhouse and their sacred space, but I wanted to just also honor it by having my own little sacred space. And I actually made a monument with a bronze plaque commemorating the 2 virgin birth mothers, the teacher Jagansase and Daganawida and Hiawatha.
Wow, that's beautiful.
So I hope that it will carry on after me.
Yes. And this is something, how did you come to be exposed to the Kiro
Yeah, thank you.
sacred work? Because this what I've printed here, and then this is another of your art pieces. This comes from your book, The Good Darkness, the historical of the Kiro. And I have to say, this was in the 1990s. This was another 60-minute show we saw, the Kiro in Peru,
Really?
who came and they said, they called the West little brother. And they said, little brother, we are telling you to change. We are asking you to change, and we are going back into our mountain, and we will come to you when you have raised your heart to respect.
Well, that's really significant that you saw that and you're aware of that, because I didn't learn about that until 2009 or 10.
Okay.
Because while I was painting the murals, I was beginning to look and search in the early days, 2007 or 8. I started searching for some tradition around the world that carried the womb and the womb technology. And of course, it's hard to find. And the only one I could find that was the womb to heart was the Kiro. And so I started to, so I contacted one of their students who worked with the original Kiro, who had come down the mountain. They were elder by then. She worked and lived with them for almost 10 years in the 90s. And probably just before they came to the West to say, okay. And so I learned that skeleton version from her. And I invited her up to my space. So she gave the first retreat here in that little moon lodge. And then that same weekend, she said, okay, I'm going on to another tradition. She was going on to an Indian tradition that had a different tradition of the womb that didn't resonate with me.
Okay.
And so I stayed with the Kiro, but I was on my own. So what's really, if I can, have I got time to say?
You have plenty of time, yes.
Okay, so what it is I'm going to bring up, because you mentioned that you saw this this ceremony, was it, of the Kiro?
I believe, yes, it must have been.
Well, was it around 96 it happened, or 97?
In that time frame, yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, what happened was, at that time, I mean, this suspend disbelief, or you don't have to, anyone doesn't have to go with this, but I had a dream that the Dalai Lama gave me a handful of blue seeds. And so I thought that must be important. So I put them in this little pouch. I went and found just some little blue clay beads to represent that, and I put them in this little pouch. And then it wasn't until, and that was in 96, and it wasn't until 2010 or 12 that I heard that the Kiro had come to St. John's Cathedral in New York and shared a ceremony with the West to say it's time, like you said, little brother or sister, to take this on. And they handed out blue seeds to everybody. Now, I'm not saying that I'm one of them, but I took it seriously and I kept these.
Wow. That is just magnificently beautiful. That's really beautiful.
Do feel that I've had, because I do feel I've had a lot of guidance and support, also from Karen Holmes, my friend who has studied this with me, and Helen Patton. There's just a small group of us who, since 2009, have really kept this as a big part of our lives. So it really feels, plus the energy of this land here with the virgin birth happening right here, there's something going on, and I feel like supported.
That's just how it is when we say yes. I feel a resonance. I understand, what I've been missing. Before, are you complete with the slides that we showed, or is there something more you'd like to say about these two pieces?
Yes, could I? These
Please.
two are the Sky Woman murals I painted in the schools. And at the time, I didn't realize this was before I got this meditation. But I feel like it somehow helped me pull through the different levels of it, because when I got it from this teacher who was a California psychology professor that went and studied with the Kiro, there were bits and pieces of it, and it wasn't until later I realized, hey, Sky Woman is just like the cosmic mother coming right through the Tori systems to our wombs, bringing the soul, the ensoulment and the depth and the feminine balance with this masculine heart. We've forgotten all about the power of the womb.
Well, I'm going to have to ask you back, or ask if we could do some other work other than this particular hour, because there are two people present who I feel it's very important you meet.
Hi, Maureen. I actually checked out your website when I got your information, and it really resonated. Throughout the hour, what really came up to me was like the protection that my mother had given me through her womb ever since my birth. Right. I'm taking in all of the negative and the good, and really processing that for me, kind of much like where the story with the three women and the son, right? And in my process of becoming a mother, especially to daughters, I realized I started doing the same thing. And it wasn't until maybe 2 or 3 years ago that I realized how imbalanced I was. It was completely gone. And it's become a time now where I have to consciously connect with it. Otherwise, I don't always feel it. And I don't know if it's the energy of the world today that's causing that, or what's going on, but that's where I'm at.
What do you mean? You said you don't feel, well, like the womb itself?
Yeah. I mean, it completely disappeared a couple of years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
And
maybe this meditation could help pull it.
yeah, it did, right? When I came right at the end of that meditation, and even in the few minutes that I caught it, it made me realize that in order for me to connect to it now, I mean, before it seems like it was so natural, and then a couple of years ago it seems like it lost, and now it's becoming aware that in order to connect to it, I have to consciously connect to it.
Yeah, well, it's a good start. I mean, heck,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, it's we haven't been taught that it's for much more than making babies. That's just one level of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, keep working with it.
Thank you. I will.
Yeah. And anything else? What about, what I'd like to ask you is that I'm trying to learn is how do we offer this to young women coming of age? Because in that process of redirecting the womb blood to the heart, it means that the energy in the womb is like there's not the energy in the womb. I mean, but you can move it at will where you wish. But if you're moving it up here, then that means the womb is not going to be as vital or as like perhaps it's a form of birth control. That's what I'm exploring. A natural birth control. Because if you're moving your energy up here, it means you're not losing your monthly blood. You're maybe a day or a few hours. But actually, I want to share that a few of the women that have been practicing this for quite a few months diligently, they almost stopped their period.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I've
heard
the ancient practice of birth control, right? Yeah, consciously being able to birth or not. I've heard of that. And
have you? Wow. What source? Like, do you know where?
I forgot what book. I think it was called the Sacred Woman. I forgot the name of the author. I read this book a couple of years ago, but she is talented in ancient ways of healing with natural herbs and the spiritual technology that we have access to. So yeah, that's a really good point. And I want to add to that because you had mentioned how could we help young women, right? Gain control of this. And really, I think that that's exactly what Nangaya is about as well, right? It's leading the way, showing the way through embodiment, through spiritual practices, for the younger woman to be able to look up to.
Yeah. Yes. Because they've been told from a young age.
Exactly.
To get ready for losing it.
Sheng Wu Li, who is the author of Niyam Gaya and our leader in rooting the spirit of land, air, and water. It's a distinguished sacred service building new systems and structures of medicine, governance, education, and sustainable living. And isn't it magnificent that this is going to now have this much more balanced, energetic in its creation?
Yeah.